That's all I got. Thanks, Scott. We want to welcome HSA as well. There you go. Thanks for coming. We're going to turn this over to David Maahs and see what he has to say.
Great. Thank you very much. A pleasure to be here this morning. Going to talk about three things. One, a little background about the Greater Des Moines Partnership and our economic development efforts. Share some statistics with you about growth trends in the region. And then lastly, just give you a quick review of some of the major projects that are going on throughout the metropolitan area. Okay, this is our mission statement for the partnership. We're the regional economic development organization for the Greater Des Moines area. We serve an 8-county area for economic development and have 23 affiliate chambers that we work with. Just a few more stats. Those 23 chambers have over 6,000 members, which makes us the 4th largest Chamber of Commerce, regional Chamber of Commerce in the country. So very proud of our relationship with our affiliate chambers. This is our service territory for economic development. The stars represent our affiliate chambers. The two counties in kind of the light green are Story and Boone County. We work with them on Capital Crossroads, which is the region's sort of strategic economic development plan. We're going on to our 7th year of the Capital Crossroads plan. There's a whole website that details all the efforts. There's 10 different working groups, a lot of efforts going into that. And then the last county off to the west, that is Guthrie. Guthrie is actually part of the 5-county MSA. So the Des Moines MSA is Guthrie, Dallas, Polk, Warren, and Madison. That's the MSA, the statistical definition according to the federal government. So some of the stats you'll see about the Des Moines MSA relate to that 5-county region. The partnership has 4 main work platforms. One is economic development, which I head up at the partnership. Also, we have a very robust program with talent development, trying to attract talent to the area. We do a lot of effort going around to college job fairs. I think we hit 70 job fairs last year, promoting job opportunities, full-time and internships, trying to get kids to come to the Des Moines area. We also then have a downtown organization that works on economic development and events. The partnership staff at the Downtown Events Group manages the farmers market downtown on Court Avenue that gets 25,000 people on average every Saturday morning. They also manage the Arts Festival, which is held the last weekend in June. And then there's 3 or 4 other events and activities that they support as well too. And then the last pillar that we have, our 4th pillar, is our working with small businesses and our chamber affiliates. On the entrepreneurial area, Mike Colwell heads this up for us. But what we're trying to do is help grow startups and companies, early stage companies that are scalable. They have a product or service that can be sold either regionally or nationally. And so Mike works with about 70 small businesses every year to help them accelerate the growth of their business. He also manages with another people a group called the Plains Angels, which is listed on the bottom there. This is a group of high net worth people that meet once a month. They get pitches by 2 companies about their investment potential. We typically, Mike, I think last year, working with his startup companies, helped them raise about $3 to $4 million of equity capital. Mike also manages our accelerator called Square One DSM. The partnership also has developed some accelerators in our key industry clusters. The first one was the Global Insurance Accelerator, which is located in the East Village on Walnut and East 4th Street. But the goal there is to bring startups that are developing products for the insurance industry to Des Moines for a 100-day period for intense mentoring where they're meeting with insurance executives to get feedback on their product. We just finished our 3rd class for the accelerator. We had 6 companies, 3 of which were international companies. One from Canada, one from Germany, and one from Serbia. So we've gotten great exposure for that nationally, and globally in terms of recognition. It helps put us on the map really as a big insurance market. And then now we just started an Iowa Agritech Accelerator, and our first class started in July. We have 7 companies. Both these accelerators are funded by the industry. So for the Insurance Accelerator, we have 10 insurance companies that are each investing $100,000 a year into the program. And for the Iowa Agritech Accelerator, we have 7 companies investing $100,000. So the money used from those investments, half of that's used to make investments in the startup. The other half is for operations, for staffing, office space, et cetera. So, and then recently the partnership hired Christina Moffett to help with small businesses. She's doing a lot more education and training and outreach to small businesses, retailers, restaurants, and others. She used to head up the Small Business Development Center here in central Iowa, and is an entrepreneur on her own right with a cupcake operation. So she's been a great addition to our entrepreneurial team as well too. And then the partnership works with local chambers, local economic development groups on helping existing industries grow and expand. We go out and have meetings with companies to see if there are any roadblocks that might be impeding their growth plans, and if they have any public policy issues, either at the federal, state, or local level that we should be working on. And each year we have about 150 to 200 meetings with local companies. One of the things locally we're also working on now is the development of what is called a transload facility. This is a facility where you can take product off of rail cars and then put it onto trucks for distribution. The region used to have an intermodal facility in Newton that was tied to the Maytag facility run by Iowa Interstate Railroad. But when that facility closed, the intermodal closed down. And so we're hoping to get this transload facility up and running, at least started this year with operations maybe in 2018, which will help lower some of the shipping costs for some of the industries in our community. We go out nationally to talk to businesses about opening up our operations here in central Iowa. Next week, myself and another member of our team at the partnership, we're heading out to San Francisco, Silicon Valley, to talk to companies, site selection consultants, and also while we're out there, we'll be meeting with companies that have operations in central Iowa. So next week, for example, we'll be meeting with Facebook, which is located in Menlo Park, which is part of Silicon Valley. So last year we had 35 prospect visits and opened up 42 new project files for companies looking to bring an operation here. We also, with our local economic development partners, attended a number of industry trade shows, either in the corporate real estate, insurance. The whole agribusiness sector is really spearheaded by our cultivation corridor. That's a whole separate initiative that was started 4 years ago with Iowa State University, the partnership, the Ames Chamber of Commerce, all aimed at branding Central Iowa as really a global ag bioscience center. We've got tremendous assets. All of the plant genetics companies globally that are the major firms have operations here. We've got Kemin, John Deere, just a lot of assets at Iowa State University with the College of Agriculture. A number of USDA facilities and national centers for animal health, the Swine Research Center, and also some plant science initiatives up there. So a lot to talk about and a lot of resources companies can use. We also have a very aggressive PR program. We have a person on staff at the partnership whose full-time job is to spread the news about Central Iowa. These are the media placements for the first quarter of 2017 in the U.S. as well as in 20 countries. So we had over nearly 8,000 media placements. Also on your handout on your table today show some of the latest rankings about the Central Iowa that we use to help encourage companies to come here. And also it's very helpful in talent attraction, and I'm sure in your work too, just to showcase to newcomers really that this is a great place to live and work. And of course, digital communications is becoming more and more important, and we have a very aggressive outreach area in that sector as well. If you haven't checked out our data hub, DesMoinesMetroData.com, please do so. We have a lot of statistics about our 8-county area and also metropolitan statistics, a lot of employment trends, population trend information, just a whole host of information that you might find very useful in your work. I'm going to share with you some of the information you could get from our Data Hub. These first couple slides are really some comparative information showing our population growth in the Des Moines metropolitan area versus some of the major cities in the Midwest from 2010 to 15. And then the latest population estimates that came out in March showed that our population was up 2% in the metropolitan area. Again, that's the 5-county MSA. We led the Midwest in population growth in the last year and ranked 34th nationally. So a lot of vitality going on in central Iowa in terms of growth. We average about 6,000 to 7,000 net in migration each year. When you look at people moving out, people moving in, that's a positive number, which ranges anywhere from 5,500 to 7,000, 7,500 people per year. These are some population growth trends from Moody's Analytics. You can't see this chart didn't translate very well over to Google Chrome, but these are population projections going out to 2017 to 2022. This will be 2022, and so in 5 years, the population estimate for our 5-county MSA is 705,000 people. So they're continuing to see, they're projecting again a 1.5% to 2% population growth for Des Moines for the next 5 years from Moody's Analytics. We get a report from them a couple times a year with a lot of great stats. I'm going to read just a couple of snippets out of that, but the first introductory sentence is the Des Moines metropolitan area is almost single-handedly powering Iowa's expansion. The labor market is exceptionally strong, with year-ago growth in payroll employment the second highest among the 25 largest Midwest economies. And then they close by saying Des Moines will remain Iowa's best-performing metro area through 2018. Longer term, Des Moines will be one of the region's bellwethers, as favorable demographics and strong industry mix power some of the strongest growth in the Midwest. So a lot of the economic consulting firms have really great things to say about Des Moines and some outstanding projections. This is a chart that you can get from our data hub, but it really shows some of our key employment clusters, industry clusters, and their employment growth projected from 2015 to 2020. So you can see a lot of bubbles on the right-hand side of the chart, which indicates growth in employment. Location quotient, if you're not familiar with what that means, is location quotient of 1 means that a certain industry in Des Moines has the same relative importance in our local economy as the national economy. So one of our biggest location quotients is finance, 2.6. That would be Wells Fargo Home Mortgage, all the insurance companies. That's really one of the highest location quotients for the insurance sector in the country if you look at metropolitan areas. If you look at just insurance, our location quotient's about 5. So it's really our insurance presence here is 5 times the U.S. average, is the one way to look at it. So, and then the bigger the bubble means the bigger the number of employees in that sector. So you can see a lot of positive growth projected for the employment in the area. This also is from Moody's. It's a graph showing our employment growth. DES, that's their shorthand definition for the Des Moines metropolitan area. Our growth compared to Iowa and the U.S. average. So again, you can see how we've outperformed the U.S. average and are continuing to do so in the next, this is a 10-year projection. And then this is a scorecard that the partnership uses really to kind of benchmark how we're doing relative to similar sized metropolitan areas. On the left, you can see that most of those are either in the top 15 or the middle for, I think there's looking at 50 MSAs of similar size. And then on the right, these are our metrics, our scorecard in terms of companies that we've assisted in either expanding or moving to the area and their capital investment and jobs. And this is through the first half of 2017. So the rest of this PowerPoint is just some quick slides about some projects. A big project for Iowa and the region last year was DuPont's decision to keep a major presence in Johnston with the merger of Dow, which should be approved this fall. When the merger goes through, they're going to split the new company into three components, a chemical company, specialty chemical, and ag company. The ag company, they've agreed to keep one of the major global business units in Johnston, which is DuPont Pioneer, and we're not anticipating too much employment changes when that happens. And over the long term, I think we're going to be well positioned for growth. This will make, with this merger, we'll be probably the largest plant genetics company globally, this new Dow DuPont company. So we're excited about some of the potential growth for that. And DuPont Pioneer's had outstanding growth in the last 10 years. If you've looked at what's happened out in Johnston, they built two new office lab facilities, each about 160,000 square feet. They built a new insectary, a seed treatment facility. They've constructed over 500,000 square footage of space in the last 10 years. This is an artist rendering of Kemen's new headquarters, which is also now combined with their new R&D facility out in the southeast part of Des Moines. The new MLK Parkway extension now goes all the way over to Kemen, which is a nice front door for Kemen's operations. This is a global company that has continued to grow and privately held. Facebook out in Altoona. I think everybody's familiar with them. This is an aerial photograph of their 3 data centers. They're just finishing up on this data center this year. That's their 3rd building. These 3 buildings total about 1.5 million square feet of space, and they've invested about $2 billion in Altoona to date. And in May, they announced they're going to build a 4th building in Altoona. This is going to be 1 million square feet. They acquired an additional 200 acres of land just east of their, kind of east and north of their current operations. And this next slide is kind of a graphics rendering of what an aerial photograph will look like when this building's finished. So this building will continue on in construction through 2018. Maybe late 2018 or early 2019, that'll be completed. Facebook, since it's started construction in the spring of 2013, has had about 500 construction jobs on site, and that'll continue over the next 2 to 3 years too as well. They've got about 200 employees, and we'll probably add another 100 with that 4th building. The other big data center operation in our marketplace is Microsoft. They bought ground in West It'll be about 1.7 million square feet and about $2 to $2.5 billion investment. The nice thing about this project, the city of West Des Moines, with the new property taxes that Microsoft's going to pay, they're using TIF to extend water and sewer and fiber and roads to this area. So this is going to open up about 5,000 acres of ground for development. So this really fast forwards West Des Moines' growth plan about 20 years in terms of when this ground would be open for development. So they'll be extending Veterans Parkway down to the south and southwest. Also with this project, they're going to have resources to span the Raccoon River and extend Grand Prairie Parkway south to connect up with Veterans Parkway. So just some exciting developments that are going to happen as a result of the infrastructure from Microsoft. This is just an aerial photograph of their Alluvion project, which is the one by Willow Creek. Light Edge also is expanding their operation in Altoona. One of the reasons why we're a good market for data centers is we have the 9th lowest electric rates in the country. Data centers are very, very big electric users, big water users as well too. They're all trying to reduce their utility consumption and make them more efficient. We also have a good business climate for data centers. There's no personal property tax on the servers. And also when they buy the servers, there's no sales tax. So that's a big savings as well too. So when you look at these investment numbers, typically about 60 to 70% of their investment in a data center is in the servers. The rest is in the building and the equipment, building and other ancillary equipment. Whoops. Principal, they're just finishing complete on 711 High Street right now, but they're spending $400 million renovating 5 buildings downtown to make a more collaborative work environment to help them retain and attract talent, and also really kind of cements their presence here in central Iowa. Come and Go, obviously everybody's aware of that building that's under construction. This is EMC's new $40 million addition on Walnut Street. Cognizant, an IT outsourcing firm, is adding 1,000 jobs in our marketplace, taking up a lot of the space that was vacant in 2 Rouen when Wellmark moved their operations about 5-6 years ago. IMT, they're building close to the University of Iowa Credit Union just down the street. They're building an 85,000 square foot new corporate campus. Some other insurance companies that are growing but not necessarily building new buildings are Voya Financial downtown. They're moving from their current building to the Hub Tower, going to be adding about 40 or 50 jobs. And then also Global Atlantic, they have a life insurance company called Accordia Life. They're going to be adding about 70 to 80 jobs. They're going to stay put in the Davis Brown Tower, and they're taking a 2nd floor there. And this is Holmes Murphy's artist rendering of their new facility, which is nearing completion. I think they're going to start moving bodies in there 4th quarter of this year out to their new office building in Waukee. And then Daimler, their North American trucks operations, building a distribution center out in Grimes off of 141. This is a 250,000 square foot facility. Power distributors came to our market last year, and these couple other EP2 or Baker Electric, and then also Baker Group, and then lastly Des Moines Cold Storage is building a new facility in the Agri-Merchant Park. Also, Iowa Cold Storage in Altoona is finishing up on a 100,000 square foot expansion of their operations. So that's just kind of a quick summary of some of the major building projects. Be happy to answer any questions you might have. Yes?
So with all the development and projects and things, obviously the partnership's tied in with all of that. Sitting in front of or standing in front of a room of realtors who obviously would like to talk to all of those people coming to work for all of those companies. What do you think the best way to get connected in with that would be? Is there a centralized?
Yeah, I think the best thing is just developing relationships with the HR departments for those companies. Is probably the best way to network and get to know those folks. Every business seems to be a relationship-based business, and I think that's going to kind of build your network and then get engaged in groups and activities throughout the community with nonprofits and other things. But you guys are probably better at networking than I am, so I probably can't offer you any advice in that area.
I have one more.
Yeah, fire away.
With all the added data centers, I went to a presentation also put on by the partnership, maybe last year, a few months ago, whatever it was, about Iowa being 80% wind powered in the next, by 2020, I think.
Yeah.
Will all those data centers affect that number?
No, actually, they're coming and expanding here because of that green energy. Especially the technology companies have, mission statements that really they want to be, 100% sustainable in terms of power consumption and other products, and it's really been a real plus for us. Mid-American Energy right now is investing $3.6 billion in new wind farms throughout the state of Iowa as part of their Wind 11 project. And so by the end of 2019, their wind generation will be about 89% of their generation capacity will be wind. So, which is really leads the nation on a percentage basis. So they're really a leader. Their goal is to be 100% renewable. That's their goal. And really the key thing that everybody has to work on in that regard is kind of storage, battery storage or some other storage of the wind power. So you can store that energy and then use it when the wind's not blowing or when you have peak demand periods. But we're well suited with our water supply. Des Moines Water Works has ample capacity, and we have, I think there are 3 of the suburban communities are looking at maybe doing another water generation facility. West Des Moines, Waukee, and Urbandale are looking at that right now. So I think we're hopeful that our water utilities can kind of get together and work regionally. Hopefully we can solve that issue locally without having legislators jump into that fray like they did last year.
You said a couple key numbers that I took notes of. You said population growth expected to be 705,000
right.
in 5 years, is that what you said?
5 years, yeah, in 5 years. Mm-hmm.
And then you said we're currently clipping at about 2%?
Right.
1.5
to 2% population growth is what we've been averaging per year.
And that's from 2010 to 2015?
Yeah, actually, if you go back to, early 2000s, that's kind of what we've been averaging. So we've been on a steady trajectory. And a lot of that's due to just the employment growth we've had here by the businesses in our community over that last 10, 15-year period. The growth that Wells Fargo's had at their home mortgage operation. You can see all the buildings they built. Nationwide, when they bought Allied Insurance, they've doubled the size of that. They now have 1.2 million square feet of space downtown, all new buildings, and 4,500 employees. They continue to look to grow their Des Moines operations. So our cost of doing business is 15% below the U.S. average. So we provide a very affordable, economical, profitable location for business with a very productive and educated workforce. So those are our 2 big selling features that we share with companies.
As far as jobs go, is that something that is promoted as far as unemployment rate?
Well,
jobs available?
Yeah, the unemployment rate is relatively low here. It's low in many parts of the U.S., which is in some cases are red flags for companies. Can they find people if they come here? And so what we always counter that with is our net immigration stats and our population growth, that we're attracting talent to our region. And that's why we're putting more and more emphasis in our talent development area too. We've hired 2 new staff people in that area to try to attract and retain talent. When we talk to companies, that's one of their biggest concerns, is looking out in the future. Are they going to have the workforce here? And for some companies, they've got quite a bit of their workforce that's slated to retire in the next 5 to 10 years. So that's a concern they're looking at as well.
Yeah.
Yes?
Any discussion works with like Amazon or anything like that? Do you guys go out, do you approach those companies or they?
Yeah, I mean, we really can't talk about who we're working with, unfortunately. So in many cases, we sign NDAs with companies. So
We'd sign an NDA right now with you.
yeah. So we've got some exciting companies we're working with that are in our prospect pipeline, and hopefully we'll continue to hear more good news in this year and the years to come. So, yeah. Yes.
Can I go back to unemployment? What's our unemployment rate right now currently?
Around 3.
Okay.
It's been hovering,
Wow.
3.5 to 3 in that range. And the state of Iowa is pretty low too. But historically, Des Moines has had an unemployment rate lower than the U.S. average. Even if you go back 20, 30 years, we've got a very stable employment base with our financial services companies. We're pretty diversified. We have life insurance companies, property, casualty, health. We're one of the really leaders in the life insurance space with annuity products. We have 5 or 6 of the nation's leaders that have operations here. And then we have, state government, which is a nice, stable employment base. And unfortunately, we have a relatively low manufacturing employment sector, which typically that's one that swings up and down with economic cycles, the employment levels there. So, and the trend for manufacturers is they're not really adding a lot of jobs. They're bringing in new equipment and automating things. So they're more productive, but really have fewer employees than they did in the past. Even though we have a state capital here, if you look at all the state capitals throughout the U.S., we have the lowest percentage of state employees as a percent of our workforce than any other state capital in the U.S. So it's not a big dominant driver in our economy.
When we were at the bottom of the recession, what was the unemployment rate at that point?
We probably got up to 7%.
7%.
Maybe a little over 7, or nationally it was pushing 9%.
And is there a way that you guys are able to track, capture rate of college graduates?
Yeah, that's why we're doing a much better job capturing kids graduating from the state schools, public and private. Drake University, which has a lot of kids from Chicago and Illinois come to Drake. Historically, a lot of those kids went back home to find jobs in Chicago, but now with internship programs and they're developing close ties with Des Moines companies, the majority of those kids that are coming from out of state are staying in Des Moines now at Drake that are graduating from Drake. So Drake's got a great insurance program, an actuarial program, close ties with Principal, Nationwide, EMC, and others. So those connections, along with connections that Iowa State and Iowa have with our employers, really helps, retain that talent in our state, in our region.
And as far as, I know you'd mentioned some companies, their concern is that 5-year when retirees or when their employees are going to retire. As far as millennials and Generation X and Y, is that part of the forecast that you guys are looking at?
Yeah. I mean, our business community has spent a lot of time trying to focus on placemaking to make this a better place to live, and that's why there's been such an emphasis throughout the region, especially downtown too, with the new science center, the new library, the event center, the arena, all those things, new science center, all that really kind of adds to the quality of life. And there's been a focus on trails, which is very popular for residents. And kind of the next thing that people are looking at now are water trails and maybe doing something with a river downtown where you could have kayaking and maybe some whitewater rafting downtown, so boating up and down the Des Moines River. So So I think those are some of the things that, as a region, we're looking at to kind of continue to maintain that momentum and make this a great place for young people to want to move to.
I have two questions. First of all, the river, they talked about doing businesses along the river, on the east side of the river. Is that still in play, or is that just kind of in its infancy of?
I think it's kind of in the infancy, but it could become more in play if we can get rid of those dams where you might have, maybe water taxis going up and down the river. I know Mike Laval's talked about doing that, putting a water taxi downtown. The big discussion downtown now is the courthouse, and the GSA's selected the old Y site, and the city would really like them to look at the Market District on the east side, taking the old Mid-American Energy's service yard and some city property and developing that to kind of kickstart the Market District. So.
Then I have a question. I know workforce, labor is
Right.
a big item across the nation with all these projects going. Has it been tough for these guys to get projects going with enough labor?
I think Microsoft and Facebook have been very pleased with their ability to attract talent. Most of Facebook's new positions have been filled by people locally. They've brought a few people in nationally from other data centers, but by and large, local talent's been filling that. Yeah.
Good deal. Anybody else? Anybody have any more questions? No?
I have one more question.
Okay, no problem.
So if you were a real estate investor, is there certain parts of the greater Des Moines area that you feel that you'd be bullish on?
We like all our children. I mean, we've got 23 affiliate chambers working in 8 counties, so I think they're all poised for growth.
I'm trying to get like an inside.
Nah.
So
Not gonna get that.
deals.
Go to the meetings, right?
Not going to get that. So
overall, it sounds like we should be pretty bullish on Des Moines. It sounds like we've got
yeah, there's a lot of momentum going on right now, and hopefully we can continue that and make this just a better place to live and work. So yeah, it's and thanks to all your efforts to helping to sell Des Moines too. Appreciate that.
Thank you so much for
You
your
bet.
time. I appreciate it.